All right, so today we're going to dive into a really profound teaching the Buddha gave to his own son, Rāhula. And on the surface, it's a story about honesty and self-awareness. But if you look deeper, it's actually a step-by-step guide for purifying every single thing we do. So let's get into this masterclass in mindfulness. And you know what? It all kicks off with a super simple, everyday object.
I mean, think about it, right? How can a water dipper teach you about honesty? Well, the Buddha was an absolute master at using things from daily life to explain these huge, deep truths. And this lesson he gives his son is just a perfect example of that. He picks up this simple tool to show something fundamental about what really happens to us when we lie.
Okay, so picture this. The Buddha has just finished washing his feet. He's got this water dipper, and there's just a tiny bit of water left in it. He looks over at his son, Rāhula, and this is where he begins one of the most powerful object lessons you'll find anywhere.
So the first thing he does is hold up the dipper. He asks Rāhula, "Hey, do you see this little bit of water left in here?" And when Rāhula says yeah, the Buddha makes the first connection. He says basically, that right there, that tiny little bit of water, that's how much your spiritual life is worth when you feel no shame about telling a deliberate lie. Wow.
And then, bam, he just throws the water out. Gone. He explains that this is exactly what happens to the value, the integrity of a shameless liar. It's just completely thrown away, tossed aside like it's worthless. Any good you might have had, it's just gone.
Next up, he takes the water dipper and flips it completely upside down. It's such a strong visual. The Buddha explains that a liar's potential for anything good is totally overturned, just like this dipper. You can't hold anything good inside you anymore.
And for the final move, he turns the dipper right side up again. And what do you see? It's completely hollow and empty. This is the final point. The spiritual life of someone who feels no lajja, no moral shame about a deliberate lie, a sampajaniya musavade, is just like that. Hollow, empty. What a powerful four-step demonstration.
But hold on, because the lesson isn't over, not by a long shot. The Buddha then raises the stakes with a much more intense, much more vivid analogy to show just how dangerous this lack of shame really is.
He brings up this incredible image of a royal war elephant. Now he says this elephant in battle always protects its trunk. It's the most important thing. As long as it guards its trunk, it's safe. But the moment it gets reckless and starts using its trunk to fight, its handler knows it's all over. The elephant has given up on saving itself, and at that point, there is nothing it won't do. In the exact same way, the Buddha gives this absolutely chilling warning for someone who feels no shame in a deliberate lie. There is no evil, he says, that they are not capable of doing.
So, okay, that's the problem, and it's a huge one. So what's the solution? Well, this is where the Buddha, like the master teacher he is, completely pivots. He shifts from the problem to the solution by asking Rāhula a super simple question, a question that holds the key to everything. And Rāhula gets it right away. He says a mirror is for reflection. And that one word, that single idea of reflection, becomes the foundation for the entire practice. It's how we see ourselves clearly. It's how we avoid becoming that empty dipper or that reckless elephant. All right, so this is where things get really practical. How do we actually use this mirror of reflection in our own lives? Well, the Buddha lays out this beautifully simple three-step check-in that we can apply to absolutely everything we do, say, and even think.
First up, we start with the most obvious part of our lives, our physical actions. The Pali term for this is kaya kalmam. And yeah, this covers literally everything you do with your body, from waving hello to, well, to anything. And here it is, the core of the whole method. For any physical action, you reflect at 3 key moments. Before you do it, you stop and think about what might happen. While you're doing it, you stay aware of its effects. And after you've done it, you look back and review what the actual result was.
And at each of those stages, before, during, and after, the test is always the same. You ask, will this action lead to harm for myself, for others, or for both? If the answer is yes, then that action is unwholesome, akusalam. You should stop, or if it's already done, you confess it and resolve not to do it again. But if it leads to benefit, well, that's wholesome, kusalam, and you should keep on doing it with joy. Okay, you see how this is building? Now we take that exact same principle and we apply it to our speech, our vachikamam. Every single word that comes out of your mouth, gossip, praise, a random comment, it all needs to go through this exact same filter. You see the pattern, right?
It's so beautifully simple and consistent. Before you say something, think about its impact. While you're saying it, watch its effect. And after you've said it, review the outcome. Did my words help or did they hurt?
And finally, we get to the most subtle, and maybe the most important level, our actions of mind, or monokammam. And yes, you heard that right. Even our thoughts are actions, and they need to be purified with the same kind of reflection. This is a game changer.
And the process, you guessed it, is identical. Before, during, and after a line of thought, you ask that same core question. Is this causing harm? Is this causing affliction? If it is, it's unwholesome, and you've got to work with it. If not, it's wholesome, and it can be cultivated. This, the Buddha says, is where real purification truly begins. So after laying all this out, the Buddha just pulls the camera all the way back to give Rāhula the big picture. He wants him to know that this three-step reflection isn't just some new trick he came up with. No, this is the timeless, universal path to purity.
And this really shows you how powerful this practice is. The Buddha explains that every single wise person in the past purified their actions by reflecting on them again and again. Everyone who's practicing right now, in the present, they do it this way. And every single person in the future who wants to become pure, they're going to use this exact same method. It is vipath. The Pali word is paccavekkhitva, to reflect again and again.
And that brings us to the end. From a simple water dipper all the way to a timeless path of purification, the lesson the Buddha gave to Rāhula is really a lesson for all of us. That mirror of reflection, it's always there. It's always available. The only real question is, what are you going to use it to see today?